Should we wait a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Sharon, when you were sharing your screen, did you have it on present mode or did you click that after?
I don't know what you mean.
For your slideshow, for the slideshow.
I don't know. I just did the share screen thing that Rod just told you.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I understand what you mean. Yes, I did do present mode. I understand what you're saying. Yes, I did.
Okay. You had it ready in present mode? Maybe you didn't. I just wonder if that's going to delay, but it should be fine.
It'll be fine.
Like by seconds. People will be fine.
Okay. All right. I hope my kids don't bang on my door. I just gave them like a warning.
I did too. They don't ever. It'll be like, it's an emergency. And then I'll say, what? And they'll be like, can I have a Rice Krispie square? Like, oh, yes.
I know.
It's an emergency.
I know. Eli was having a meltdown because he's supposed to draw a bunny for school. I think it's just a fun, but because it's not perfect. It's like, yeah, that's the emergency right now.
Hi, team.
You're muted.
Coming to us from Springfield.
Hello, friends. Yes, I'm coming to you direct from the town of Springfield.
Very nice.
Which they did announce where it was. They I forget where it was though. Springfield is a real place.
Springfield, Illinois. There's two.
I feel like there's a lot of Springfields, I think.
Yeah, but they hit it on The Simpsons for a long time, and then I forget where they announced it actually was.
Okay. Should I start sharing my screen then?
Sure.
Is everybody ready? Okay. Sorry, I am just looking at this going, now I don't have any of my speaker notes. I think I click on the bottom here. Can you see what I'm doing on here? Denise, can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah, you go ahead, click notes. It might be that you'll see them on your screen.
Oh yeah, I don't like that.
Everybody is seeing.
Do you have your iPad, Kate? You can look at their iPad for the.
Actually, that's currently being used for the bunny art thing.
Oh.
It's okay though. It's fine. Okay, so I guess we should begin because it's 1:15 on my clock. Is everyone good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so welcome back to the G2 check-in. This is what we did last week with Sharon and Gretchen and Alicia and myself. And we have a few different presenters this week just because of the way scheduling worked out. So we're hoping that we'll share some questions that you had and maybe answer some questions today. So we know that remote learning is sort of being tested this week, and we know there's lots of questions around that. So welcome back. And we'll get started with our territorial acknowledgement.
We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. These indigenous nations, known as the Anishinaabeg and Lenape, agreed through their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, These responsibilities and obligations extend to all peoples.
Okay. So this is who's going to be hosting this week, myself. I'm Kate, and I'm an instructional coach for their board. And then we have Gretchen, you want to go next?
Okay, I'm Gretchen Sainz Gamble. I'm the special project teacher for Indigenous education for K-8. And Steph, tell us about yourself.
Hey, I'm Steph. I'm the ESL teacher for the Chatham-Kent region of our board.
And I'm Denise, and I am also an instructional coach with the board. And at the bottom there is Alicia, and she is not with us digitally right now, but she did a lot of work on the presentation itself. She's having some internet issues, so she's with us in spirit.
Okay, great, thanks.
So this is just an idea of some of the things we hope to get done today. So there was a Google form that went out where folks typed in some of their questions that they had. And we're going to try and take a look at those and answer those. And then if there's time, hopefully at the end, we'll open up the chat to if anybody has any remaining questions.
Okay, so we thought we would get right to the questions because that is why we're here. It's not a presentation that we've put together for you. It's just basically answering questions that people put on the form that was sent out yesterday. So Denise, do you want to get started?
Sure. So this is the first question, and it just says, now that my teaching partner and I are sharing a Google Classroom, all the work students turn in is shared to both of us, and the work assigned by the other teacher is showing up in our Google Docs, etc. Is there a way to control this? We found there are two ways that you can stop receiving notifications from another teacher. One is if you were the teacher that actually created the classroom, and the other is if you were a teacher that got asked to co-teach or co-join a classroom. So Kate is sharing her screen right now. So you need to go to the menu where it shows all of the Google Classrooms that you have, and you click on the 3 horizontal lines at the top there. Maybe if Kate, you could circle that on your screen so they know what we're talking about.
Right here, yep.
The 3 horizontal line. Yeah.
The hamburger.
And then, yep. And then you click on, so she's in her Mrs. Allison's grade 6 classroom. So she's going to click on that and it's going to take her to settings.
The settings are further down here.
Yep.
They're just at the bottom of this. So I'm going to click on settings there.
Mm-hmm. So Kate, this is the classroom that you created, correct?
It is, but this settings will apply to any of my classrooms that I select.
Okay. So she's going to click on the settings icon there, the little gear at the bottom. And she's going to go to notifications. So in here, you can customize it to say whatever you want. You could shut off all your email notifications if that's what you so choose. If you don't, this is where if you go down and maybe just go up just a little bit, Kate.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, this is where you could click off. So if you're someone and you're a part of a few different classes, like if you're a resource teacher or prep teacher or something, and you don't want to get all those notifications, you can click off certain ones and then you will stop receiving those. Or if I scroll up here,
Mm-hmm.
Denise, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So if you scroll up, you can click off classes that you are enrolled in. So this is where you are not the teacher that created the classroom. If you toggle off the button that says work and other posts from teachers, and the one right below that that says returned work and grades from your teachers, you will, we believe, we've tried it out a couple times last night, you will not get any notifications from the other teachers that are co-sharing the class with you.
So for instance, if you are a co-teacher, Denise, and you post something, I will not get a notification that you have posted something.
Right, you will not get an email that says Denise Ladd posted an assignment on whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You'll still see my work because we share that same classroom stream. You will still see my post show up where it shows the class work, but you should not receive an email that notifies you every time I make a post.
Okay, so I'm going to leave those
Correct.
on for now because it is my classroom. Because I created the classroom, this does nothing. The only thing that I can do, because I'm not enrolled, I'm the one teaching the class,
Right.
so I have to click this button off here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So again, it
this
depends which classroom it is that you're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else on here? This is on this email, receive email notifications is on by default. So if for some reason you're not getting email notifications, that was a question that's coming up later. You need to make sure that this button is on because you might be getting it on your phone or your tablet or iPad or whatever, but not on email. And that's because this isn't clicked off. Is that right, Denise?
Right, and that's a good point to mention, is if you have the app downloaded to your phone, or if you have the Classroom app downloaded to your iPad, you need to go on the settings on every device that you're on and make those adjustments. So for instance, if you have it turned off on your laptop, but you're still getting the notifications on email through your phone, you need to go into the Google Classroom app on your phone and make the setting adjustments that you want to have done.
Okay, let's go back to our slideshow here. Okay, is there any other questions on that in the chat, Steph or Gretchen?
No.
Nope.
And we will post this slide deck so that folks can come back and take a look at it if they need to review it. Because if you go forward a couple slides, Kate, there's that little Google cheat sheet that we put on for folks that just shows you right here. Yeah. If this is what you want to be able to do, this is what you have to make sure is turned on, or the opposite. If you don't want it to happen, you need to make sure that that's turned off.
There was a question. Somebody asked, so the co-teacher needs to do this?
If the
Yes.
co-teacher doesn't want to get notifications from the main teacher, then they have to do that. But you don't have to. You'll just keep getting all the notifications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the question was about somebody was trying, they were getting all kinds of notifications and they weren't from their particular work, they were from the other teacher's work. So the question originally was, how do we stop getting all of those notifications and the work being shared? And this is the solution that we found to that.
Okay, we ready to move on?
Sure.
Okay.
The next one says, I am having difficulties seeing private comments. I get the notification on my phone, but I can't see them on my laptop. And this question here, we were a little unsure about what this particular person was asking. So if this person is actually on the chat today, maybe they could type in a little bit more. We interpret it to mean that you are getting a notification on your phone that says, or through your email, that says that somebody posted a private comment, but you couldn't locate it when you went into the Google Classroom on the laptop. That is how we interpret it. So if you go to the next slide, Kate, there's two different views that you can see. So this is where you will see all private comments that pop up if you go to your class list for a particular assignment or quiz or whatever you've posted. So here's all the students that are in the class. And if you go down to Rachel, there's an example where somebody has put a private comment, well done. It could be the teacher. It could be, if this was a group project, it could be somebody from Rachel's group that was posting that private comment. But if either way, you can see all of the private comments that are posted here. If you go to another view, it will show you if you actually clicked on an individual student.
Like here?
So Kate, we're going to the, yeah.
Oh, there's just a delay. I've clicked it. You just don't see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry. So this is a particular student, Tara. So this is her particular work on this particular assignment. And there you can see all of the private comments that have been happening, whether they're going back and forth. And then if you wanted to add another private comment, you would type in that little space where the red arrow is, and another comment would be typed. So it looks to me like this is going from a teacher to a student to a teacher and then back to a student again. So the teacher is trying to give her comments about how to use the microphone to record. The student says back, my home computer doesn't have a microphone. And then this teacher says, okay, thanks for letting me know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not sure if this was the right question that we answered. And I'm not sure if there's anybody in the chat, Gretchen or Steph, that is replying to this question.
Yeah, because the other way that I interpreted it was that they were getting notifications on their phone, but not getting any notifications on their laptop about private comments, which we just covered in that settings, that you need to make sure that email notification button is clicked off. So if that's the case, then that's an easy fix.
Right. Because notifications, you can customize them to whatever you want. If you want to get everything, you can get everything. If you don't, you can pick and choose what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next question. So I made a rubric for one of my assignments. How do I save that to my drive? So the first thing we wanted to mention was that if you create anything in Google, Google Slides, Google Docs, Google Sheets, it'll automatically save it to your drive. If you make it in another form like a Word or something, you can still transfer that, but you have to save it to your drive. And then if you wanted to attach that rubric to your assignment, this is done when you actually create that assignment.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll just go into my class and create an assignment. Can you see here?
Pardon? Yep, this is her shared version. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So this is Kate. She's going to make an assignment. So she clicks on go to the assignment. She gives it a title. If there's any instructions where it says, you know, please open up a Google Doc and draw a bunny and then describe it, whatever. And then she might actually have to go down to the add button if she wants. And that is where she can find anything that she's made in Google Drive. And if she's made a rubric on Google Docs, it will be here. And she just clicks on her drive and it'll come up. Now, the other thing that Google Classroom has, if you look over to the right side of your screen, it might be underneath the pictures of the people talking, I'm not sure, but there's a button where it says at the bottom rubric, and then there's a plus sign and it says rubric. This is where you can create a rubric that you have made, but it is only in Google Sheets. So if you haven't actually gone in and created this document in Google Sheets, you cannot attach a rubric to where Kate is now over at the right side of the screen. That doesn't mean that you can't attach a rubric. As a matter of fact, the way that I used to attach them is I would just make my rubrics in Google Docs, and then I would just add it and attach it with the paperclip the same way that I attached any other link that I had in my Google Drive by clicking the add button, clicking go to my drive, clicking on the actual document, and you would see it attached there. So again, we're not sure if this was the actual question this person had.
I think that's good to note, though, Denise, because if you're not familiar with Google Sheets, that's not something we're going to cover today, but it could be something we do later on if that's a need out there. Yeah. But it's good to know that you can just make a table in Google Doc and attach it that way so kids can see what's expected of them too, right?
Yep.
We do have a couple questions in the chat. Is there a limit to attachments for an assignment?
I don't believe so.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so. I'm not sure how many they're thinking of attaching, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they add a file to an assignment, how can they make sure that the student can edit it and make a copy for each student?
We can talk about now, or we can talk about that later, Kate?
Okay, I will add it to the list of questions, and we'll.
I feel like that comes up. That comes up later, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it does come up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's move on.
But we're not
I think
sure.
that answers the. Yes.
Okay.
We do know some things.
Oh, so actually, the next file. Yes, we do know some things. If you go to the next slide.
Yeah.
2 maybe.
So just a review
It
of
shows you
what we
how to
just went
attach.
over. Sorry, go on, Denise.
No, and then the next one after this one, the one that shows how to attach a file. This is like a little cheat sheet for this too, for anybody who's interested in knowing this later on. If you get a little bit more brave and you want to attach, a YouTube video or a link. Okay, the next question. Do you have to return an assignment for students to see that you have posted a comment to the work? The answer to this is no. You only need to return a student's work once they submit it and you have graded it and you want them to see your grade or your feedback. If you want to put a comment on, it will simply show up as a private comment on the student's work, and then they will get a notification that says that is that you've posted a comment to them.
Yeah, and for them to see that comment, they have to go back to the assignment, and then it will show up under the assignment tab, like wherever you click on the assignment there.
Right, or they get an email notification, and then they can just open up the email notification, and it will show your comment to them.
Right, that's a good
Lots
way to get it to you.
On the chat, I see Sharon Drummond has said there is a maximum 20 things that you can attach to an assignment. Good to know.
Thanks, Sharon.
Should we address the question that came up in the classroom right now, since it was about returning work? So this was from the classroom that Sharon and I created for our for the sessions last week, and so it was about when kids turn in an assignment and comment or provide feedback, should they continue returning it and commenting and returning it, right? So their question was kind of about how often they should do that, right?
Right.
And that's a great question, and we chatted about it. And I think bottom line is, it depends what the assignment was posted for. If it was posted for you to as an assessment piece, a formal assessment piece with a rubric, and then they're gonna submit some work and you're gonna give them a grade on it. I don't know necessarily if you need the feedback to be going back and forth a few times, maybe just some general feedback for next time. Or if it's an assignment where you are trying to have them show their growth and apply some of the strategies that you've talked about in class, you might have that dialogue going back and forth.
Yeah, I feel like it can be daunting to feel like you have to give feedback on every single thing the kids are handing in, because we know when we do that verbally in class that it just takes a few moments, right? But when you're actually texting something and clicking all the right buttons, it can be lengthy. So I think if it were me, I would probably think about it like what you said, Denise, like what is the purpose of the task? And then also, if there's specific students that are struggling, maybe those are the ones that you focus on that day, or pick a handful for that day and a handful for the next day, because I think the back and forth can be really time consuming.
I agree. Small parts just to get an idea of a snapshot of a couple kids.
Gretchen, was there another part to that question, or was that it?
For the other part, I believe it comes up later in our slides.
Okay, great, thanks. I'll move ahead then.
This question is, how do I share something from Google Drive with my class without having to enter everyone's email address? And if you look on the screen, once every student has joined your class, they automatically, when you post an assignment or a quiz or you share something, Google Classroom automatically defaults to the whole class. So on the next slide, so Mrs. Allison's showing us, she's created her assignment about the bunny. And again, this might be behind the little pictures of the folks on camera. You might have to move that. But you can see in there when you click the assign button, it shows you all students is the automatic default. And if you want it to go to all students, you don't have to do anything. It'll automatically do that to you. If you only want it to go to a few students, then that is where you click on the button and the drop-down menu appears, and everybody's name that's in your class should appear there. And that's where you just drop, uncheck the ones that you do not want to get the assignment and they won't get it.
So it's tricky in this class because I only have one student, my daughter, but there would be a list of students here, and you would click the ones. So it says all students, but it's because she's my only student, so it's the only one that's clicked, but you could unclick that. So you don't need to click all the kids. It always goes to this default anyway.
Right. So the original question, you don't have to enter anybody's email address. As long as the students are enrolled in your class, they will automatically receive what it is you're trying to post. But you can also go in and select, you know, if you have a couple kids that are on a modified program, or if you have a split grade and this is only for a grade 3 student and not all the grade 4s, you could unclick all the grade 4s, and then they would not get that. And then you could go in and post another assignment for the grade 4s, and then the grade 3s wouldn't get it.
Denise, there's a question in the chat. If you have a split class, can you sort the student list?
I want to say, I wonder if Sharon has an answer for that.
I'm not sure. I'm going to look into it right now. I know you didn't used to be able to. You had to create 2 different classes if you wanted to be able to do that. So I'm just going to do a little bit of hunting and see if I can find a more recent answer for that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah,
I wondered about
Sharon.
that.
That was my gut feeling too. Yeah.
To create 2
We'll
classes.
move on and come back to that then.
Yeah. Okay.
So here is kind of a comment and a question. So somebody was watching last week and they loved Sharon's classroom last week. Practical, great idea. He tried to recreate the What's Your Talent slideshow and had a lot of participation the first couple days, and then went yesterday and saw that some students' slides had disappeared. Should I have looked at it? Can you go over how to set that group up again? It was really nice community piece, and I would like to use the template for students to add pics of how COVID has changed their life on a positive note and somewhat of a downer. So I think Gretchen is going to speak to this. Maybe.
Okay, so when we made when we made the slideshow, if you're on the iPad, you need to create your slideshow in Google Slides and then add it to your Google Drive. On the desktop, you can create the slideshow right from the classroom. See, you can see here when you click the paperclip or the create, you get the slides that comes up. Then you can just create it right from there, and then it just gets assigned to everybody. But the kids have to open it. When they open it up, they have to open it in Google Slides with the little square with the arrow. So that's just how we set that up. We made a slide for each student. So let's see here. Yeah. Oh, and so this here, I was doing this on the iPad, and so this one, I clicked
on the left here.
Clip. Yep. Sorry, I'm pointing at my screen. Yes, the one on the left. I clicked on the paperclip, and then I had to go to my Google Drive to add the slideshow from there. And so that was on the iPad, actually.
Okay, does anyone need clarification around that? So the only difference is that when you're creating an activity or a task, I should say, classwork, when you're assigning something to create, you just don't click on make a copy for every student. You just want to leave it blank, and so everyone contributes to the same document or same slide. Is that right, Gretchen?
I'm sorry, I was answering a question in the...
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
So really the only difference is when you create, so when you're creating slides, I don't know if I really want to get into that right now, but when you're creating a slide for, say, this particular activity, I can't remember what the title was. What was the title that she wanted to give?
We did what is your talent?
Right. So then you would click that here.
Mhm.
My computer's a little bit laggy.
Yeah, what is your talent? And then we made enough slides on the left there for one for each student. So then a student would find their name on their slide, and then they would add their picture or their writing on their slide.
Right. Okay. So if I have that here,
Mhm.
okay, and then I'm going to go back to my classwork. And here where it says students can view file, you want them to say students can edit file. You do not want to click make a copy for each student, because
Right.
that's when it's not a whole class activity. This
Mhm.
will make it a whole class activity. So I would click students can edit file. And
Yes.
then I would assign it to my kids. And that's how that was made.
Mhm.
Okay, any more questions about that?
So I think the key difference here with the ad is where it's something that you have already made and it's
Yeah.
in your Drive or it's a Google slide presentation that you've made. When you hit the create button, that's where you haven't made anything yet. You're not attaching something that's already been created. You're going to actually create one and then the kids can add to it as it goes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay, but I think we covered that. Just want to be mindful of the time here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you see the next question there, Denise?
Nope, but I can read it ahead of time. It says, when I assigned a narrative writing graphic organizer and told Classroom to make a copy for each student, it didn't assign it to one student. Does this happen often? How do I fix it without deleting other students' work? I ended up making a new assignment for just that student because I was afraid to mess up the original one. So I think that's a great solution, first of all, what this particular person did. And as far as what happened, you know, we're not quite sure. We do know that every time you create an assignment or a quiz and you post it, it automatically defaults to sending it to the entire class unless you tell it to do something different. So, you know, it's technology, anything could have happened, but perhaps when you assigned it, maybe a button was clicked and that student either got deleted from the list, or maybe that student wasn't added to your class list at the time that you posted the assignment. Maybe they joined your class after you had already passed out that particular assignment.
Yep,
So again,
that could be.
if we go to the
I
next
don't know if
slide, you
this
can
is,
see when you create this.
sorry. Can you see now? Slide 24?
No.
What do
That's
you,
okay.
what can you
I
see
still
now,
see
Denise?
it says when there, it just goes now. Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
So again, it's the same slide we've shown before though. When you create an assignment, you give it a title, you put some instructions, you add a file, or you can create something. And then over to the right where it says all students, it automatically defaults that that's gonna go to every student unless you tell it to do something otherwise. But
Yeah.
again, it's technology. We're not
It does
quite
have
sure.
glitches.
Yeah.
Question from the
I don't know
chat.
if this has happened, yeah, to other people.
Sorry. That some teachers are finding that half their students can edit their work and the other half can't.
Is it like a
Yeah, that's
view
a big one.
only?
Or could it be that they're not clicking on the pen or they're not clicking on the arrow with the box?
Maybe.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that one. That was a big one that a lot of people had at the, it's coming up in the slide stuff.
I should have put that one right
So
at the start,
hopefully, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, if my computer keeps up here.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the next question. If I return work, are students able to make changes? I had one student tell me that she couldn't edit her work. I told her she could only view it. I checked the permissions. She was still the owner, so I'm not sure what happened. So the answer here is yes, they can make some changes to it, but it depends on what they want to do, and it depends on it's kind of a complicated issue is what we've decided on, And there's a couple options. So your students can either make a copy and then resubmit it again once they've made their revisions, or they could go in and they could unsubmit and then make some changes and resubmit. It is a pretty complicated issue. We basically decided, and I think bottom line is, unless you've kind of gone over this with your class already, I don't necessarily think this is something that you could talk some kids through online right now remotely. Help me out if I'm here, Sharon. I see you sitting there. It's a pretty, if you want kids to revise and edit and resubmit the work that's already been submitted, there is a process to it.
I think too, if the student is working on an iPad, then if they have to click on the assignment again, if they click the assignment that they've already edited, it will come up and say that it's view only. They can't change that. They have to like make a new copy of it, and then they will be able to edit it. And then they'll see before they resubmit it that there's a few options they can choose from. I'm not on my iPad and I'm not enrolled as a student, so it's hard for me to show you what that would look like, but it could be something that we sort of, we can show you at another time, or if you can email one of us and we can show you some screen captures of that.
And that's a good point to do. As the teacher, you don't know whether these kids are working on a phone, are they working on an iPad, are they working on a laptop? And it all depends what they're working on, what the process is, how to go about doing this. Because it's just a little bit different for each device that they're on.
I'm going to guess that most of the kids are working on an iPad. And those are a little bit, there are a few buttons. Even Sharon helped me last week with one. Click forward there. Okay, Gretchen or Steph, is there anything else in the chat about this?
Yeah, so there's, oh, sorry, go ahead, Gretchen.
No.
So it's that students can't see the feedback coming back. Is that due to device differences probably?
Like they can't see the comment that the teacher is making?
Yeah, so if you ever responded, said they can't see what I wrote, is that because of the fact that I was on my laptop and they were on a different type of device?
No, they should still be able to see it. Like it all syncs up. They might have to actually go back. Sorry,
I was just going to say, it depends on what kind of comment the teacher added. Right. So there's a private comment you can add kind of in classroom that gets attached to the assignments. But I think the comment section, so if they're working on, if it's a piece of writing and you want to add a comment in a particular paragraph and kind of say, you need to change your topic sentence here, this doesn't really fit with the rest of your paragraph, or whatever the teacher is giving feedback, that the student has to actually open up their document, and then the comment the teacher made will show when they click on the button that says show comments inside the actual Google Doc. I'm not sure if that's what this person's referring to, Steph.
Yeah, she said it was right in the Google Doc. That was where the comment is not showing up.
Right.
Show comment.
So it's not a private comment in Google Classroom. It's an actual teacher feedback or some revision advice inside the documents.
I'm not sure that I'm showing it here properly because I don't have any students who have commented on here. That's hard for me to show.
It would have to actually be in a Google Doc too, Kate.
Yeah.
Can I jump in for a second?
For sure.
So I think if I'm understanding the question correctly, I think she's gone in using those markup tools and actually written on top of the document. And in that case, when you return it, it gets returned as a PDF. So it's no longer in the doc. It makes like a new copy of it in a PDF that's not editable. So it's possible that the student is then trying to open that doc and they're not seeing it there because it's a whole other document at this point that the feedback's been written on. So that might be what you're running into.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's my other thing. If the teacher, so the teacher can give feedback by actually clicking on one of those comment boxes in the doc and typing on it, or the teacher can use the markup pen and make her comments or his comments. And that, again, that's kind of one of the down, it depends on what you did, how the student would be able to open it. Good point, Sharon.
I wonder if it would be helpful if I went into Sharon's class as a student, because I'm a student in that class. Would that be helpful, Denise, or maybe not? So if I go into my classwork here, this is me as a student, and I'm going here, I can see right here in the middle that there's 3 comments being made. Can you see that? Can you see that, Denise, or no?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Okay. So I've already turned this in, but if I go down here, there's some comments. I guess I can go to view question. There were some class comments, but then there's also private comments on the side. I'm not sure if that's sort of answering the question or not. If I click on my individual one, this is the one that I did. It just takes a minute to load here.
Yeah. I think this might be what they're talking about. So if you were looking at this and editing that Google Doc, there's a button you can click where it says add a comment, and you could type something in there, some kind of feedback for a student, and then that would be attached to that document at that particular point. And then the kid or the student, sorry, would need to be able to open up the document and look for that feedback.
Right.
Sorry, they are talking about in the document specifically, yes.
Okay, I'm trying to look for an example where either Sharon or Alicia have given me some feedback. Yeah, I'm not sure either of them have given me any feedback on any of these. Unfortunately. I'm not sure that we're answering that question properly because it's a lot about the comments, right? And I think if we had more examples of comments on it, it would be easier to see. Is that what I'm gathering? Denise, what do you think?
I think we lost Denise there. I think that the that we answered it with about the comments in the doc and how teachers are able to add those comments in the doc instead of just writing on it with like and turning it into a PDF. That we probably should put the comments on the Google Doc itself so that the student, when they open it, they're able to see those comments in the doc.
I think that's the best way to do it because I think using all the markup is difficult. Shall we go to our next one? I'm just being mindful of the time here.
Yeah, Denise will be back.
Yeah, okay. I'm back. We had a Wi-Fi issue here.
It's a tech issue.
Okay, so this is the one, this is the last one, I believe, anyways. My work the students are submitting looks different. Is it because some click on the pen to add their work and others click on the square with the arrow? So we have some examples coming up here. Again, this has to do with whether you're on an iPad or whether you're on a laptop.
No, they're both from iPad.
But it's the same way too, I think, if you're on a laptop. But anyways, go ahead.
So if a student opens up a doc and they click on this pen in the corner, then it will open up their pen tools, and it will look like this at the bottom. The pen tools, whoops, sorry. And they can only use a pen. They will not be able to type. And this, they can click on any of these and mark it up. If they open it up using this square with an arrow in it, then it will actually open it up in the original document, whatever that be. If that's a slide, it will open it up in slides. If it's a Google Doc, it will open it up in Google Doc. If it's a PDF you sent them, it will open it up in PDF. And then if they, so this is opening it up in the original, which is the Google Doc, and then you click on the pen tools here, and it will give you all of the normal Google Doc tools that you have on an iPad. So they can type on here, they can add a picture, they can do anything that they normally would be comfortable doing. So I would say this is your best option unless it's a drawing activity. The only thing I need to say is that if you're sending a student a PDF of something, the only tools that they will have available to them are these tools at the bottom. So they will only be able to like write with a pen or erase. They can change color. If they swipe this up a little bit, you can actually, there's some color tools. You just have to swipe your hand. They just have to swipe their hand up here. Gretchen, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't think so. Is that everything there, Sharon?
I think so, yeah, as far as I'm.
Okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure that that was everything there, Kate.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to the next class. And that might actually help you when your kids are not sure and they're in like a read only. If they're at this screen and they can't do anything, it's because they have to click one of these two buttons up here. Okay, so if they're like, it's a view only, it's because they have to click something here. Okay. Can you see this last question, Denise?
So question, this is the last one, I believe, yeah. If I delete a class, will it delete the class from my students' classrooms too? And the answer to that one is yes, but you can't, to delete a class from Classroom, first of all, you have to archive it. And then once it's archived, it'll then give you the option to delete it. So here's a screenshot of what it looked like. You choose the class that you want to archive. You click on those three little dots. So on this one here, on the pink class, we clicked on the three little dots. Archive is one of your options. You click archive, and then it has archived the class. And once the class is archived, you can then go, it'll appear on the left side of your screen under the heading of archived classes. And from there, you click on it, and then it'll give you the option to delete. So down here, there's archived classes. Thanks, Kate. If you click on that, any class that you've archived will pop up there. And then from that particular space, it'll give you the option now to delete one of those classes. And then once you delete it, though, it's important to remember it is gone forever. If you archive it, it's still available. You just go to that section on the left where it says archive classes, and you can restore it, is what it's called. But once you archive it and then you delete it, you cannot get it back.
And you know what Sharon shared last week? I think this is right, Sharon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of nice to keep your archive classes because you can actually use documents from them for, say, this year's class, because it's still all stored in there. I think that's what Sharon was sharing last week.
And I think it'll be stored. Each classroom now has its own little Google folder. So if you click on that folder at the bottom of that grade 5, 6 students pink, that little folder, I believe, this is something relatively new, it should have in it everything that was used for that.
Yeah, it says here open folder for grade 5 in Google Drive.
Which is kind of
Okay.
handy to have. Okay, I think that was our last question.
So I have a
know.
question from the chat.
Yep.
Can we insert a video on our personal device into the presentation, say for the talent?
Like
in
a
Google
photo or
slide?
something?
Yeah, so if you have your Google Slides and you're contributing to it, can you put a video into that Google slide from a personal device, or does it have to be on your drive already?
Nope, you just would click a plus button here. So if I was gonna add, I would just, there's on an iPad, it would be a plus button. And from here, I would just insert image. It doesn't, it can just be photos or a camera or whatever. So on your iPad, there'd be a plus button over here. You click it and it would say add photo, and then it would say photo from library or take a picture right there.
Okay, thanks.
Sometimes Google Slides is a little tricky though. Sometimes you have to actually save it video to your drive and then attach it from the drive to your slide. Slides isn't very user friendly. Yeah, team, just you cannot add video. Slides
Right.
isn't very user friendly to slides adding music or slides adding videos. Now it can be done because we had the territory agreement inserted at the beginning of our presentation today. But there's a knack to it. There's a little trick to it.
We had to do it through Drive. You can add a video through Drive or through like embed it with YouTube. I don't think that you can just do it with add image. From,
no, I agree. You can do an add image, but you can't add a video,
not a video
that way. No. And even here,
and
you can't do that. You would have to grab it from your computer or grab it from your drive here if I'm inserting a video.
And I think it might even, I don't even think you can do it from your iPad. I think you got to be on a laptop to do that. I'm not sure if somebody else, Teen, I saw you typing some things there. Do you want to pipe in on that?
I think if you're on an iPad, you can hit the plus button and then you can insert from your drive and get it from your drive on an iPad.
Yeah, I think you need to, you'll need to be using Chrome, have the option to import video. And again, it's restricted, right? You have to import video from a URL that Google accepts, or from YouTube, or from your Google Drive. But in order to import that video, you have to put it into your drive first. It's a little bit unwieldy.
And videos can take a little bit longer, so it's not always like an instant upload, depending on how long they are.
Right.
Was there any more questions? I think maybe they're typing lots.
Yes.
There was one question just around being able to see the slide toolbar on top of it, but I think that might have been in the video, like when you were demonstrating.
Yeah, that's just from our slide presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
But we
Sorry,
will.
that does happen.
We'll share this slide deck somehow so that people can see all the tools and everything that we show in it.
And people are able to minimize the pictures of us and get rid of that too if they wanted through Zoom.
Yeah, you can click on the boxes there. What time is it now? It's 12:06. Oh, 2:06, 12:06. Oh my gosh. Going back in time here.
Yep, that was all the questions really in the chat. So if anybody has any, now's the time to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Sharon, did you find anything about whether you have to have 2 separate classes made for the split class? Or you can delineate your students by grade?
Yeah, we talked about it in the chat. You can't make up a separate group within
Okay.
classroom. You would have to have 2 classes. So you have to check and uncheck kids as you need them.
Yep. Okay, that's what I thought. Yep.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks for
ma'am.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I guess like this was sort of the check-in from our sessions last week, and I'm not sure if we're having another one like this. I think we're sort of moving over to having office hours, which is kind of the way that we can differentiate different groups. So it will be kind of like a drop-in like this. And you can ask questions there, you can share ideas. I'm not sure there's going to be a form like there was for this one today if you wanted to pre-ask your questions. You can also connect with other people if you know someone who's in the same division as you. You can both come on together and share some ideas if you want. And then we might have some things that we've seen or heard or troubleshooted through that we could go through with you guys too.
And here's a brief snapshot of what is actually going to be happening. So Monday is actually Easter Monday, so the sessions will start on the Tuesday. And there's a screenshot of what it is and the Zoom codes for you to go into. Password, please note that they're all uppercases. And then it'll be the folks that are participating in those particular chats.
So it looks to me like Monday is intermediate and Google Suites. That's with you, Denise and Teen and Gretchen. And then Tuesday it's primary and primary grades and Seesaw. And that's with Sam, Jana, and Nicole Hooper. And Wednesday it's kindergarten and Seesaw. And that's with Alicia, Pam, Glant, and Jen Gardner. And then Thursday it's junior, Seesaw, and Google Suites because we figured lots of junior people are using a mixed bag there. And that's with Sally, myself, and Pam. And then Friday, it's FI, FSL, and ELL with Angela, Steph, who's on today, and Teresa. You go ahead, Denise.
I was just going to say, I think if there are no more questions in the group chat, I think we're just about done.
You know what, too, I should have added, if I can exit my, I should have added our emails here in case you want to email us some more questions. I can add that in real quick. Just change that to white. Anyone wants to write that down, that's a good way to get a hold of us. Okay, and I think that if you were in this last week with Sharon, that classroom is still open, and someone did ask a question in that today, and we were able to get that. Gretchen checked in there, so I guess we will continue to check in there if you have other questions, and you can always go back in there and check it out as a student. Because sometimes you can sort of figure the answer out by playing around yourself, so that's always an option for you. Okay, otherwise, thanks for joining us today. And I think we still have a few more minutes.
Thanks to Sharon and Teen,
yeah,
and Steph, and Gretchen, and Kate, and Rod.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now.
Okay.
So we can see everybody.
Is that your whole board game collection, Sharon?
Behind me on my shelves, yeah. It's
The Tower of Games. It's awesome.